Hey everyone, good to see you. It's Monday, it's Richard from BTFI. Good afternoon. It's an afternoon thing, not an evening thing. For those of you that are used to the whole 8 o'clock in the dark business, no, midday today. So good to see you on. Hey Bethan, hey Kelly. I know what you're thinking. What you're thinking is, this guy's been on holiday, and because he didn't want people to feel really bad about having such a deep golden tan, he's whitened down. And that's exactly what I've done. I've whitened down so that you don't feel envious, is what I'm thinking. If I lifted my top up, which wouldn't be good for anyone, you'd see the colour that I have picked up from being away. Oh shit. So look, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining me today. And I don't know what happened, but the last time I saw you, which seemed like it was months ago, it was nowhere near Christmas, and we've come back and there's Christmas adverts on the telly, and all the shops are full of advent calendars and tinsel and fairy lights. I don't know what the fuck's happened, but anyway, it's nearly Christmas, allegedly. I know. Kelly's not ready for Christmas. Thanks, Bethan. I'm looking remarkably well. Well, yes, there you go. I'm feeling pretty good, actually. So look, today's live, we've called it What Are You Waiting For? I'm going to give you a bit of a recap so you get a bit of context on what's been happening in the last few weeks. So before we went on holiday, which was a week ago, we got back a week ago, I had a week in Chicago, and I attempted to do 2 lives whilst I was in Chicago. We were staying at the best hotel in Chicago, the Peninsula, and the Wi-Fi was shite, unbelievably shite. So the lives didn't happen. Basically, I binned them. I got partway through, and then people told me they couldn't hear me, so I just binned them. So I had a week in Chicago. I was speaking at a conference. There were about 25 chief HR officers, chief people officers from across the globe, thinking about how do they create their workforce of the future. So I went in and we did a really cool session, which they enjoyed, around thinking ensemble rather than team, about how do we create ensemble and workforce within a performance arena, and how do we bring that into businesses. So we did some playing, we did a bit of singing. That was very cool. Took Mia with me, so Mia got a chance to experience America, and so it was a pretty groovy week. The other keynote speakers, there was me over the 2 days, and a guy that most people go, who? Called Leslie Odom Jr. Check him out if you don't know him. He's now he's released a couple of jazz albums. He played the original Aaron Burr and was part of the creative team for Hamilton when that opened a few years ago. That's Lin-Manuel Miranda's big global phenomenon. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. But he played the lead role alongside Lin in that production, and he was the other keynote speaker. So he came in. He's written a book called Failing Up, all about, in order to move up in life, move on in life, we have to be prepared to fail. And there was a lovely synergy between our messages, and it felt like a real treat to spend the time with him. And he sang, so he did 3 numbers, one from Hamilton, one from Rent, and another song. And he was very cool. And what became clear over the couple of days, and what became clear over the week, is that I have resisted singing in keynotes. I think it becomes a bit after dinner speaker for me, where I speak a bit and then I kind of burst into song. I always felt a bit shit, and I haven't been able to get it right in my head. Anyway, the agent that booked me, we had a long chat, and I think we found a way that it can work, that I can bring the 2 in. And in his world, he said, there's nobody doing that. There's nobody doing the stuff you're doing, with your experience and what you talk about now with leadership and organizations and consciousness and culture and music and performance. He said, so you kind of miss a trick. So 2019, people, is going to be the year of keynotes with music. So I've got some ideas of how that's going to work. There's definitely going to be one called Behind the Mask, which will have some music and some song woven in, and some of my learning and style and messages and all of that jazz. So 2019, there will be keynotes with music, maybe with a keyboard, maybe just a guitar. We'll do some groovy stuff. So I'm kind of getting that right in my head. Part of me is quite excited. A part of me is a bit, but that's good. That's a good place to play. So look, Chicago was brilliant and felt like a massive gift and opportunity to do. And when I got back, we had 2 days, kind of turn the cases around, and for Kelly, Mia and I to pack ourselves off to Tenerife. So 24 hours into the holiday, feeling very chilled, very cool, very ready for this week away, which we so needed. And 24 hours in, I suddenly noticed I had a bit of pain in my back and my side, and I wasn't quite sure what it was, and I thought my trousers were too tight. My trousers were tight, but I thought they were a bit too tight. So I kind of hobbled off to the loo, and I came back and I was like, it's not quite right. But I didn't really know what was around this right-hand side of my body. I didn't do biology at school. So Kelly was like, you're right. I'm like, I don't think so, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, I got myself back to the bedroom, and 5 minutes later I was lying on the bed, convulsing with pain, shaking. I have never experienced pain quite like it. And at that point of thinking that the next step has to be passing out, surely. Passing out has to be, because my body was not able to cope with this degree of pain. So anyway, Kelly called the doctor, and the doctor came out and gave me a shot of Valium in my arse, which was probably a good experience for him as much as it was for me. And he said, you need to go in by ambulance, so there's no option, you're going in. And I went in, and 2 days later, they having done lots of tests, and yes, you've got kidney stones in your right kidney, you've got 2 and 1 that's on its way out. So they gave me a ton of drugs and a ton of things to kind of do whatever it needed to do. I was still in, pain was manageable. Anyway, they discharged me from hospital thinking I then had 4 days left in my holiday, and 4 hours later I was back in the hospital again. And there I stayed for the next 3 nights. So basically out of our 7-night holiday, I spent the first night with Kelly, and I spent the last night with Kelly, and the 5 in between I spent in a Spanish hospital. And you know, it was pretty shit really, because that wasn't what we were expecting, wanting, needing. It was pretty ropey for Kelly and Mia, having to get in a taxi every day and schlep across to see me. And yes, the pain was excruciating, and yes, hoopla, I gave birth to and I measured it this morning, a 5mm kidney stone. You'll be glad to know I passed it out. It was like passing, it was like, I didn't actually feel it, but you look at it and you wonder how that comes through your tubes. But it came through the tubes. I don't know how it came through the tubes. It must have been like passing a small house. I swear. It's, I don't know. Anyway, look, the stone's out, and I caught it in the jar, because for a week I've been pissing in a jar, basically, to catch this stone so that they can test it, see what's in it, and work out why the hell I got kidney stones anyway. So look, this isn't about telling you about my ills and the size of my kidney stone, which was 5.5mm. It's not actually about telling you that, and it's not actually about telling you about Chicago either. This is about the learning for me was significant, and I got it quite quickly in the hospital in my highly emotive and painful state of so desperately wanting our holiday, and so desperately wanting Kelly and Mia to have their holiday too. And what I realised is in the last year that we spent a lot of time building up our digital platform and putting a lot of energy into Limitless and building the group and building products and building mind hygiene in order to free up more time in our life and not just keep exchanging time for money. And at the same time, my corporate work, which is always really steady, suddenly went crazy around May, June time, and I'm used to taking the summer off. So pretty much every year I don't work much in the summer, mostly because organisations don't want anything, and also because Mia's off school, and what better time to hang out. So that's how it's been. And this year I didn't really stop working during the summer, which is, I'm not complaining, so hear that, I'm not complaining. I was hugely grateful for all of it. And what it meant is that I didn't slow up and stop and pause. And look, the upshot of that is that we hung a huge amount on this holiday. In fact, actually, I think we hung everything on this holiday. And in some ways, it became a fix-all. In my head, it became a fix-all, which was fixing lack of sleep, fixing time out, fixing rest, fixing time with my girls with no agenda, fixing a quieter mind, fixing getting some warmth and some sunshine. Literally everything, even for weeks before, we were like, oh my God, I can't wait. Oh my God, I can't wait. Just another event, just another workshop, just Chicago. And then we can go on holiday. And then we can go on holiday. And it kind of dawned on me probably maybe 24 hours into being in hospital. And bless you, Gary. Thanks. Yeah, I'm back. Happy days. Big kiss to you too, my friend. And it became very clear 24 hours in that this was just a bullshit existence and not what we had wanted in our life and not what we wanted to create. And I kind of think it's funny, isn't it? I think we do a real Sunday night into Monday thing. Most people, I'm not saying everyone, most people, Sunday night into Monday, kind of that angst about getting back into Monday. We've got Hump Day Wednesday, which is like, thank fuck we're halfway through the working week. We get to evenings and it's like, oh, thank goodness I can kind of chill out and have a drink and kind of close down. And then it's that countdown to Friday and whoop, 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 Friday. And then we get the weekend and then repeat. And I don't think I've ever lived like that. And I don't think I've lived like that in the last few months. Yet I live like that for the holiday. And I know I spoke to some clients yesterday who on Friday, who booked their holidays for next year and are really excited about their June holiday next year and already we can't wait. Like, fuck, that doesn't work, people. That doesn't work. And I think I've done that a lot, in and out of doing that a lot in life. And I'm a big believer that if we don't listen to the learning, if we don't listen to the messages, the universe kicks us really fucking hard. And on holiday, the universe clearly needed to remind me. So thank you, universe. I thank my kidney stones. I thank the 2 that are still sitting in my kidneys waiting to exit, because I get it. Look, I don't have an easy solution. I'll talk a bit about that in a moment, but I get it. And, I think it's not sustainable to believe that we can go on just always looking forward to the weekend or the holiday or Christmas. Already people are going, Christmas, great, and a week off and 10 days off. And there has to be we have to think about how do we build a holiday into our life every day? How do we enable our day to have some daily retreat moments in it? So when we have a holiday, the holiday is great and we can indulge in it and enjoy it and fully switch off and do all the things we want to do on holidays. But not that it's so desperate that we're just clinging on by our fingernails to get to it. And that's just, and I don't know, that just take a moment to look at your own life in the mirror and just check whether you fall into that. Because it's really shit, actually. And last week was a really hard lesson. It was a really hard lesson for all of us. It was hard for Kelly. Kelly needed a break. I needed a break. Mia needed a break. We all needed a time out, and look, it didn't happen. So I start by having a big thank you to all of you who sent love and support and ideas and advice through in all forms. I think Kelly spent most of the time on holiday, probably on Facebook Messenger, with people suggesting things for me to do and not do and yoga poses. So believe me, I was lying on my hospital bed whilst the bloke went to the toilet that was in the bed next to me in like the giving birth baby pose. I drank like a fucking cauldron of celery juice that Kelly made me drink. All the things, right? I drank 6 or 7 litres of water every day. I was going for a wee every 5 minutes in my jar. And so look, I'm hugely appreciative of all of that. Thank you. The BTFI group was super supportive. If you're not in the BTFI group, come and join us, come and hang out with us, especially if you think you've got kidney stones, because boy, we are masters in that group of what to do with kidney stones. And we are thinking of even renaming it to the Kidney Stone Appreciation Club. So come and hang out. We'll put the link in. And there you go. So look, we have lots of phrases. I think most people know that we need to do good stuff in our life, and we need to make time for ourselves, and we need to make time for our friends and our family and our mental and our physical well-being. You know, we talk about mind hygiene, and although we intellectually know it, we don't always take it here. We don't always act from here with it, and this is my message to you about, if we don't, there's only so many times we can go, yeah, I get it this time, and it'll be okay, and next time I'll just kind of manage it through. And the universe does kick harder every time. Believe me, the universe kicks harder every single time. And we talk about things like, you know, time waits for no one, and there is only one time for happiness, and this time is like right now. And again, most people get it. We get it. I get it. I completely get it. And I can also go, yeah, and I'm really busy, and I am really happy. And I have been really happy. I've been really enjoying the roller coaster. It's just been bloody hard going. And I don't know what I'd do without Kelly, and without, I know Charlotte's on. Charlotte is like the ringmaster of the BTFI circus and keeps all that stuff in check. So I don't know what I would do without them. So look, I spent the weekend having a bit of downtime. I've got to go. I'm keeping an eye on the watch. I've got to go. I've got a CT scan at the hospital in an hour to see where the other kidney stones are, and to see what they're doing, to see if they're still having a party in my kidneys, and if they are thinking about leaving the kidneys, because that's really important to know, because if they are, then we've got a problem. We're going to have them escorted out, I think. So I've got a CT scan, and then I'm heading off to Oxford. I know some of you know about this. I've mentioned it before. I'm in a week-long, it's like a think tank, a very immersive retreat with Richard Barrett. If you watched the live I did with him. So there's 25 leaders from across the world coming in to talk about and discuss shifting global consciousness, shifting towards a different place in humanity, and it's very exciting, and it's also a little bit scary. So just pushing a little bit of wee out, I think, through excitement and nervousness. But it's going to be 5 days of, I don't know what we're doing actually. I haven't got the faintest idea that we're going to be sitting in a room talking about how do we help this planet shift, and how do we help people shift. So that's where I am this afternoon. But look, we spent some time over the weekend, Kelly and I, getting diaries out and thinking about what do we need to do to not be in that place again, to schedule activities and schedule time and make sure we are making time for the important stuff and really focusing on that. And otherwise the time just flies away, and we'll be just back on the hamster wheel and running super fast again. So, do you know what? It was a really hard conversation, and my moment of realization in 46 years when Kelly was like, what are the things that really nourish you? What really, really nourishes you? What makes you feel happy and joyous? And I really struggled to answer. A lot of my answers, in fact, actually most of them, were around other people. So were around Kelly and Mia and this tribe and my clients and family and friends, were around helping other people be happy and wanting to share in experiences with them. And Kelly was like, no, what about you? What's your nourishment? What's your stuff? What are the things that you want? So if you could have some downtime to go, oh, do you know what I'm going to do? It makes me feel really good. What would that be? And that was really bloody hard. I've added something to the list, by the way, as well. I'll tell you afterwards, Kelly. I've added something to the list. But it was really hard because I don't think in 46 years I have made any priority around that stuff. Now, that doesn't mean I don't look after me, because I do. But I'm sure I have some stuff around how do I value myself and take care of myself in order that I can take care of others. And I kind of do it enough, just enough to scrape through, but clearly not enough to be well and sustainable and do all the other things I need to do in life. So it's a really hard lesson, and continues to be. And I know I have some work to do on myself. And I So there we go. Hey, maybe this is another live at some point. So look, so I want to share some of the things that I've already committed to do in the past, and I'm committing to do again. And maybe for you, this is thinking about, are these things you've already committed to do in your life and are doing, or maybe they're things that you want to commit to do. Maybe they're things you're going to begin doing, so that you start to make this the moment, this right here, right now, the time. And what are your daily rituals, your daily practices for taking care of yourself? And when almost on your 0 to 10 scale, how do you check it? How do you take a pulse check? And when you notice that maybe it's a 5 out of 10, knowing that 5 out of 10, it starts to go into the red zone and alarm bells start going. And so then what do you do? What do you do when you clock that? Do you go, oh, it's okay because I've got a holiday in 6 months? No, it's bollocks. That's no good. It's like, what do you do now? What do you do now? We kind of lost this sense of space in our life. I think whenever there is a gap, we fill it. Whenever there is a moment of going, dum, 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 we fill it with something. We fill it with a bloody device, or we fill it with something that we think we should do. And I think we've, in some ways, have lost ability to appreciate the spaces, the gaps in between. We need them when we drive the car. We can't drive right on the other person's arse, although Kelly would say I do sometimes, but we can't do that. We don't walk shoulder to shoulder with people down the street. We need some space. And we need some space in our own life too. So look, so my very first thing in the morning is about having quiet time when I get up. So I've talked to you before about the Will Williams meditation course. We did the Vedic meditation, and that was a really good habit for me to be in. 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. That morning time is incredibly important. This is about getting up and doing that before you start looking and checking emails and Facebook and Twitter and Twatter, whatever the thing is that you do when you wake up. About quiet time, that you might journal in that time. It might be about setting your intentions for the day. It might just be about quietening down. And I'd lost some of that, actually. It was a really great habit, and in the last probably 3 or 4 weeks, that earlier bit of time that I needed to get up felt really precious, and I let that go. I wasn't as consistent with it. So that's coming back into reality this week. So with some consistency, twice a day. Also for me, getting out and moving and just getting some fresh air. It's really easy. We spend time working from home. You can kind of get up and just kind of fall into your day, and then that's your day, and before you know it, you're going to bed. So time out in nature is really important. Just fresh air. It might be pissing with rain, or it might be sunshine, but just some fresh air is hugely important. Fortunately, we are very lucky to have our boy Roysty, who holds us accountable twice a day, and if he hasn't had his walk, he gets a bit arsed off. So that helps. But getting out in fresh air, even if that's just 5 minutes to walk in the garden. I love our garden, although it looks a bit ropey at the moment, but I love our garden, and even just 5 minutes in the garden, just again creating the space for us to breathe well. So this was an important part of the conversation yesterday, and maybe this is a good question for you to ask yourself, which is actually, what is it that a holiday gives you? So what do you get from going on holiday? What do you get from going on holiday? And how might you create and bring those things, those qualities, those moments into your life daily? And that was a really good question for Kelly to prod me with yesterday. And for me, holidays are about no agenda, are about not having to do the things that need to be done each day, like the washing and the hanging it up and thinking about what we eat and the buying the food and the cooking the food and the dishwasher and all of those things, and the dog walks, all of those things that create a routine and agenda. For me, holidays are really important about not having that, and almost getting offline, away from the devices. Yes, fresh air. Sunshine is a real bonus. I love that, but it's not the bit. The bit for me is just no agenda. So what we've decided is that we're going to have some dedicated time with no agenda, no responsibilities. So every weekend I'm going to be less active online. This is about time just to read, to mooch. I love just mooching. I love going to the shops and mooching. I don't want to have an agenda of 20 items to buy, just to mooch. That might mean having a coffee, walking around, watching people, at our own pace. Just spending time with my girls, baking, cooking. I love really non-alpha male stuff like that. These are all things that replenish me. So weekends, we've got a bit of a plan. Kelly's going to do dog walks, the morning dog walk, so I can just kind of laze around a bit more. We're going to have a takeaway on a Saturday, so no cooking. Just making a shift of how do we create mini holidays weekly? How do we create that experience and the benefit that we get from a holiday weekly? We've also scheduled date nights in the diary, so that's making sure we aren't so tired that we just kind of crash on the sofa and fall asleep and watch crappy TV. That's about, we're going to go to the theatre, maybe that's music gigs, maybe that's eating out, pub quizzes, I don't know what the things will be. But we're going to do that each month. That's every other Friday we're doing that, which is good. Again, just close off time. And do you know what it feels like? It feels like, we both Kelly and I, set out to build different businesses this year and build more online presence, and as I've already alluded to. And then it feels like with devices and Facebook and membership groups is that we are always on. It feels like we're always on. So when there's a space, we go, I'll just look on Facebook and respond to a comment or answer a question, and that always being on bit, I personally find incredibly draining. So there is something for us about how we build that, how we go from on to off, and we switch the off switch, and we can be off from that thing. And clothes off time. Are you still on the date night, or are you on? What bit are you on, Kelly? We'll talk about it after. So that bit feels. I think we've created that. We're in that existence where we're always on 24/7 life, and maybe some people can keep up with that. I think I just can't keep up with that. That just isn't my. That's just not my place, really. That's what it sounded like you said. Clothes off time. Oh, clothes off time. I got you. And clothes off time too. We're scheduling in clothes off time, where we're going to have naked evenings and naked days, maybe even some naked Facebook Live. So make sure you tune in for that one, folks. So weekly, I'm also going to schedule some time to go climbing. I started indoor climbing a couple of months ago. Mia loves it, so something to do with Mia, but also something to do just for me. I quite like my introverted hobbies, my quiet hobbies, where I don't have to engage. I can just go along and climb. So feels like that helps my mind and body stay strong. So that's going to be happening weekly, because it hasn't happened the last few weeks. And Kelly was like, what about pamper things? What would pamper things be? And I don't like massages. My back doesn't like massages. I do like facials, though. Can't beat a good facial. Maybe a Clarins one. So definitely once a month, there's going to be some kind of pampering thing. I don't know what that will be. Maybe it'll be a facial. Maybe it'll just be a mooch around the shops. Maybe that's quite pampering for me. Just slow pace. I sound like I'm quite old, don't I? As I'm listening to myself, I'm like, I did ask for slippers and a dressing gown for Christmas last year, or maybe it was my birthday, but Kelly refused to buy it for me. So folks, don't you get an idea that you're then just going to start sending me comedy slippers in the shape of a kidney stone. Don't do it, okay? That's not what I want. But I do feel like this whole kind of just time which allows me to breathe and kind of reground is massively important. And the final one then is about catching up with friends and family, just making more effort and time to do that. We like hosting dinner parties. We like having people around for food and just cooking nice food, and that may be arranging nights out for people. We love going to kind of listen to music with friends, or going to a club. I don't mean like a kind of nightclub, although Kelly would like that. But just the shifting the routine, change of energy, and we have to consciously do it, because it's very easy to get just stuck in the cycle. So look, it's not an exhaustive list, and none of it on there is rocket science at all. But it is stuff that feeds my soul and feeds my energy and helps keep my world in balance, and the things that mean I stopped waiting for the holiday to arrive, where I go, yippee, the holiday. Because I have this sense that if I do that again, then the world's just going to keep me that little bit harder. So have a think about what you need to do with your day, your week, your year, how you hold holidays, how you hold you time, how you hold time for you to be off, not clothes off, not always on. What's your off time? Or is it just a different on time? Maybe it's just not on Facebook, maybe it's on friends or family, or on watching films, or on reading books. But what is it that means you embrace that piece about being healthy and being balanced and being energized now? Not that you wait for that thing that's going to repair it and fix it, because that's what I've just done, and that is absolutely why the universe decided the best way for me to get the learning was to put me in a Spanish hospital for 5 days. So as grateful as I am for the travel insurance, and the hospital were really good. The one very lovely nurse there called Fabio, we've actually named the kidney stone after him. So, which I thought was just the least we could do, really, to name him Fabio. So anyway, he's doing well. Stone and Father are, as you can see, doing well. So I'd love to know what you're committing to do. Dilys, until I make a plan, it just doesn't happen. If you want close off time, you've got to plan it. You have got to plan it. I think a lot of people go, yeah, we'll make it happen. We will make it happen. We will make it happen. And sometimes they do, and sometimes it's a bit late and it's in catch up, or sometimes they just don't, and we just didn't. So I got the message, folks. Kidney stones have made you funnier. Thank you, Charlotte. Charlotte used to be my PA up until about 10 seconds ago. So Charlotte's available. If anybody needs a good PA, contact Charlotte. She's really very good and not that funny. Committing to have this conversation at home this week, David. Yes, David, we'll look forward to that one. Maybe you can film that and we can all see what happens. But I think it's a really bloody important conversation that families need to have. Actually, it's with the kids thing. It's what does this look like for us? What do weekends look like? What do evenings need to look like? What is our consistent pieces of replenishment? So great. If that's just one of you that goes away and has a conversation, then that's a bonus. So tell me in the comments. I've got to head off now because I've got to go and have the CT scan. So that's going to be a joyous moment. Then I'm heading off to Oxford. I'll drop in this week and tell you about Oxford, and I'll certainly tell you about it next Monday. Next Monday we have an interview with a very cool person coming on. Very blessed to have him with us. So I'll tell you more about that next week. And have a great week, people. Whatever you do, take care of yourselves. What's your self-care activity for today? Today, you've got half a day at least. So what is it for today? Have fun, take care of yourselves. Lots of love to you all. Lots of love to Kelly. Thank you for being my Kelly and my wife and taking such good care of me. Thank you to my ex-PA Charlotte for managing the crazy mayhem and everything that you've done. And thank you to all of you for being in the tribe and being a part of this. And just keep pushing the love out. There's a lot of it. Keep feeding it, and I'm sure that will form a part of some of the conversations I'm going to have with Richard Barrett and whoever the other 25 people are this week. So big love to you all. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye. 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 Bye.